What doing? It is what day is it? It's Thursday, January 21st, 2121. So that's pretty cool. 6:30 at night. And this is RCSubGuy Live. I do, for those of you who have not joined me previously, my name is Bob Martin, also known as the RCSubGuy. I'm with the Nautilus Dry Docks, and the whole purpose behind this is to have a good time talking about RC submarines. I'll let you know what I got going on at the shop here. We can talk about things that are going on in the hobby. And most importantly, this is an opportunity for you guys to ask questions and get some feedback from me. Not that I consider myself to be the end-all and be-all in regards to RC submarines, but I know a little bit about a lot. So I'll do my best to answer your questions. There'll be lots of facts and probably lots of opinions too. Because a lot of this is certainly a matter of personal preference in regards to how things are done. I'll let you know what I do and how I do it, and you can elect to follow my advice or not. So I can see Ed Tortle and Ed Frank. Ed Frank, I just wanted to let you know your Type 7 is coming along awesome. We had a huge jump today. Finished the torpedo system, which, by the way, required a complete rebuild. So you're actually on generation 2 of the torpedo launcher. It's entirely brand new from scratch. The trigger mechanism is like flawless now. I'm super excited about it. Just need to make a little tweak to allow the bow plane mechanism to pass through. I'll show that in a second here. And we trimmed it, and it's perfectly trimmed out now. So we just need to finish up. I'm remounting the ballast pump to make that work a little bit better. So hopefully early next week, maiden voyage should be super awesome. Yeah, so hey, we'll give everybody a couple more minutes to get signed in. Everybody always does come late to the party. It drives me crazy. I'm one of those people where it's like if you're not 5 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late kind of thing. But hey, that's no problem. Even though I was right on time at 6:30, I had to go early to set up all of the fill-in stuff. Okay, what are we going to get started about? Let's see here. I'm going to switch the camera around, and we're going to go for a little walk through the shop. There's my workbench. That is the new 3-inch Mark III subdriver that's going to be released here very shortly. I'll get to that in a minute. Ed's Type 7. Bits and pieces everywhere. Here is the cylinder. Wanted to show you. Look at this linear servo that I installed there from Accutronics. It's super expensive, but I needed to have a lot of torque and a lot of throw to actuate the torpedo launcher. So that's why I installed that in there. And obviously we got the ballast tank, and I'm resituating the ballast pump. You'll see the tubing there. That'll be all set up and ready to go tomorrow. But the launcher. So previously I had built. It was sort of a mishmash and hodgepodge of things, but this is what it looks like now. This assembly is completely 3D printed in one piece. So it incorporates the launch linkage, the seal linkage, and the tube end caps with the proper angle because they are splayed outwards, if you can see there. To match up to the torpedo tubes. So I'm going to go into that in a whole video all on its own. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that now because quite frankly, I don't want to pop it all out. It's one bolt right there on the bottom, and the whole thing just slides right out super easy, but I can't do that one-handed, and I don't feel like doing that at 6:30 at night. So, but there's going to be more on that. So this boat is going to be pretty awesome. Full LED lighting system, and obviously functional torpedoes. I'm super excited. I'm like also excited about this. So I moved to this shop, a little while ago, but I was always doing all of my trimming at my house, which meant I had to pack up everything in my truck, drive all the way back to the house, trim the boat, drive all the way back. So we got this tank, this feeder or tank or water tank for livestock, and it just sits here at the shop. And we do all of our water testing for the cylinders and all of the trimming for the boat in this. And it's 6 feet by 2 feet by about 30 inches tall. Super excited about that. I sold a bunch of boats to a gentleman, and that look at that crate. It's like 8 feet long and 2 feet by 2 feet. Those are all the boats right there. I don't know if you can see that. They're all wrapped up. I got to bring more packing material tomorrow, but those are going to be packed up in that crate just to make sure that nothing ends up happening to them. They're going to go motor freight, truck freight to the customer. So yeah, there's 2 boats, the cylinders, display stand, all of the radios, and everything are going to get put in there. All very exciting. Let's see here. I want to go up in the front here and show you some of the other things we've got going on. Picked up a few boats, and I think I had shown you some of them previously. These are going to end up as RTR models. This is a skipjack, Bronco skipjack, that is going to end up having a 3.5-inch gas cylinder. I think I found a great option for that boat. That'll be sold RTR whenever I get the free time to put it together. This is a display model of the Bushnell Turtle, and this is for sale on my site right now. It turned out really cool. Look at that paint finish. I'm pretty excited in how that turned out. That's a 3D file that you can download and print yourself, by the way. Obviously, you could scale it up if you want to make it RC, but it's about 8 inches tall in its stock form. You can kind of do what you want there. This is spoken for by like 3 different people, so I'm not even going to go into that anymore, but that's Seawolf. What else do we have going on here? We've got a couple of models. There's a 96 Nautilus and a 32nd scale Type 23. Those are both being built for a gentleman, outfitted basically with cylinders. So I'll be working on that in the coming weeks. We've got a Gato or Gato, depending on how you pronounce it in the background there. That'll be sold RTR. And then we got another one up there, same gentleman that built the skipjack, another Gato. Pretty cool. The neat thing about these, I'm going to talk about this in a second. If you can see the detail in these plastic models. So that's based off the Revell of Germany plastic model kit. And plastic model conversions are a great way to get into the hobby for a little bit less money. So you'll save yourself maybe a couple $100. So you can get into the hobby, probably for somewhere close to like $1,200 in materials. So it's a good alternative to fiberglass hulls, but a little harder to work with. They're harder to cut, more prone to warping. They're more prone to flexing. And all of the tiny little intricate details that were originally engineered for a static display model are very prone to breakage. So just bear in mind that when you do a plastic model conversion, typically there's going to be a trade-off in terms of the ease of manufacturing or the ease of assembly for RC specifically, and the durability. All right. So the last thing that I want to show you, which is super excited, is this beauty right here. So this is the finally finished and fully assembled 48-inch Nautilus. We just finished it up today. Turned out really, really good. So just see some of the details on here. Fully articulated deck hatches with all of the hatch mechanisms in there visible. These viewports are gorgeous, completely optically clear, so you can see right in there. You have the ship's wheel and the dive levers on the other side. You can elect, if you'd like, to make the dive planes, positionable, or as I built them on the other side, fixed as they come. They'll just be, integrated into the side keel there. You can display the hatch in either open or closed status, and the breathers in either open or closed. Same thing here with the rear hatch. That's all fully articulated. All the detail in the skiff, the removable hatch covers on there. You can have a spinning prop if you so want, and obviously a moving prop. No, that's not good. I propped off a little cover. I'm gonna have to glue that back on. But moving prop and rudder, and the display stand and everything. Really neat details on those. So those are finally done. That's been a long time coming. Pre-orders are over with. And we'll open up the regular ordering after I completely finish all of the assembly instructions, which I'm going to start working on next week. Shouldn't take too long. There's like 100 photos that are going to be going into that, including illustrated step-by-step how-to on the painting and weathering for the Nautilus. So there you go. All right. That was a lot of talking. I'll finish this. And this is the new Mark III subdriver. So David Merriman is in retirement mode right now, well earned, by the way. And as such, I've been tasked with creating my own version of the subdriver based off of the MSD subdriver and incorporating it into the production queue here at the dry dock. So there's going to be a number of modifications that I do to that original design. One of the big things you can see on this side, the original 1/16 inch O-ring seals, those are still going to be incorporated for the ballast tank. But on the other side, it's going to look more like this. And on the clear tubing side, there'll be another adapter ring like this, and in between is going to be sandwiched a big, beefy 1/8 inch seal. Now, the challenge with these, as I've told you guys before, is that the inside tolerances of the clear polycarbonate tubing are terrible. So each one of these end caps, Dave Merriman actually ended up having to machine specifically for a specific piece of polycarbonate. So you can imagine from a production perspective how insane that is. So I'm doing away with that. I'm going to control both of the mating surfaces and use a big beefy seal in there, and it's going to change things a lot from an ease of access, because you don't have to pry anymore to get these end caps out, and you as the assembler can adjust the amount of tension on that seal. So we've got stainless steel rods that are going to be running through. These aren't cut to length yet. They'll be cut, and we'll have acorn caps on the end with seals that will seal everything off. This particular one is the 3-inch prototype for the new dual shaft unit that will be used in the ARC model, and this is the motor mounting bulkhead, and that ends up getting kind of bolted to the outside of the unit, kind of like this. And then the motors obviously are part of that. And then there's also obviously the single shaft version. So these motors are brushless, fully brushless, and they run in the wet, which is perfectly fine because there's no brushes to short out through the water. So brushless motors love getting wet, and we're going to make that happen so that we clear up more room inside. The speed controllers can tuck right in this nice little recess in the back here. We got tons of room for receivers, pitch controllers, fail safes,
water detectors, and all sorts of stuff. So super excited about that. Rick asked, what makes wire connection? I assume, like, how do you wire the motors is what you're asking. So those are actually going to pass right through the bulkhead, and then into the interior there. So we're just going to have some pass-throughs straight in. These are all sealed, so there's going to be no chance of water ingress along the path of the water cables. The other thing that I considered doing, but they take up more room, I still might do it, is bullet connectors. So we'll drill this out and put bullet connectors in, and you can attach things in there. That's another option there as well. So there you go. The new beginnings of the Mark III subdriver. Doesn't look like much right now, but quite honestly, all the rest of it has been engineered. There's going to be a completely revised vent valve in the back that's going to do away with that surface mounted one with the arms and all of that stuff. So that's all going away. Part of the challenge with the old version was that when you drill into polycarbonate, you can get spiderweb cracking from any of those holes. And that was pretty prevalent in a lot of the subdrivers. And so no holes. That's all going away. No more cracks or crevices. And actually, for that extent, even the inside linkages there, those are all going away as well. So stay tuned for the epic awesomeness that is going to be, well, I'll keep this out because I'm going to work on it in the morning. There you go. So that's sort of the shop updates I got going on. Feels like a long time since I've done my YouTube live deal. It's been like 5 weeks, and of course lots happened since then in the world, which makes it seem like even more time has passed. All right, what did I miss here? Let's start here. Will you be selling, I gotta get rid of this window here. Will you be selling stock dry dock cylinder or just only custom cylinder by way of customer orders? So these are going to be sold very much like the MSD subdrivers in that they are going to come in a universal format. So the motor compartment, the battery compartment, and the ballast tank are all going to come oversized. So, for example, you might have, an end cap cylinder that's this long, or it could be this long. I didn't show this to you. I think this is cool. So the equipment tray rides on these rails, and that maintains perfect alignment for all of your linkages and everything. So no more of this, floppy, messy deal that's going on. So both the pump tray here and the equipment tray slide around like that. And actually, the pump tray will probably be mounted to this bulkhead, and so that it'll go like this. Burp, 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 burp. Yeah. So what I was saying before I lost track of what I was saying. You could, if you wanted to, have a big compartment like this, if you want to put a massive amount of electronics and gizmos and pumps and lights and relays and whatever you want to put in there. Or you could make it super small, or hey, cut the equipment tray down and you could make it even smaller if you wanted to. Same thing with the ballast tank. The ballast tank will come in stock 12-inch lengths, and you can cut that down to whatever length you want to. So they will be universal. Anytime you buy a cylinder, that's what it'll be. If you want to buy the ARC model kit, you'll get the universal cylinder, and I will let you know that I recommend, for example, an 8-inch motor compartment, a 5-inch ballast tank, and a 5-inch battery compartment, or whatever it works out to. We'll get that all figured out once we release the product. So I want to have production ready stuff done within about 30 to 45 days. So I know it's a long time, and people have been waiting, and they keep asking me when am I going to get cylinders and all that stuff, but I can't rush this. What happened last time when I did, I can put product out, but without full detailed instructions. I spend my entire day explaining to people how to put it together. So there you go. Willie wants to know, have I ever thought about selling one on one time on Zoom. Selling one on Zoom, like selling a cylinder live? I suppose I could, or you could just order it. There you go. Civil War ironclads. Someone asked about Civil War ironclads. I love those, but they're not submarines. So I am going to stick with something called the hedgehog concept. And my world is submarines, and that's what I'm going to stick to. So I have lots and lots and lots and lots of projects without having to branch out into other vehicles. Okay, let's scroll back here and see what I missed. Ed wants to know, where do you source deck guns from? I highly recommend shapeways.com. www.shapeways.com. And this is a platform by which digital artists can sell their 3D files in physical form. So what you'll see are a lot of excellent, amazing, fittings and guns and towers and all stuff that you can purchase. So the digital artist puts it up there, and Shapeways prints them and ships them to you. And the cool thing about that is, if you have a weird, request, like say, for example, there's a Type 7 conning tower in 48 scale, but you've built for some weird, stupid reason a 154th scale boat, you could reach out to the artist, and they could potentially, for you, put a new product up at that scale, and you could have it printed. So that is a great place for the guns. Those 3D printers do amazing work. And you know what? I'm just going to see if I can... Oh, I can't go that way because my box is blocking it. I got a new resin 3D printer. Well, I shouldn't say I got a new one. I got one that I finally hooked up. And now I've got to find where Jason put my ship's wheels. Here we go. So these are 3D printed ship's wheels. Like, look at the detail in that. It's pretty darn amazing. You can see the scale, with my finger in there, but these are going to be what comes with the new 48 scale Disney Nautilus kits. But this is comparable, or actually even less, of the quality that you would get ordering off of Shapeways. Because I have a $99 printer, and they have a $99,000 printer. Just that's the way it works. So yeah, deck guns, fittings, towers, all of that stuff. Check out Shapeways. That's a great venue for sourcing things like that. That was the wrong button. I was trying to scroll. All right. Let's see here. Is there any chance you will make available an Alvin, like the FX models version that you made? There's a lot of people who've asked about Alvin, and a lot of that was because of the build that I did. And that was commissioned of me. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's actually one of my favorite builds. So take a look on my channel under RCSubGuy and search for Alvin. And that was an FX models kit. I'm trying to remember. I think it's like 1/8 scale. It seems awful small or big. At any rate, it's pretty. It was a big boat. It was like 30 inches long, and it turned out really, really good. So I don't have molds or anything. So what you're asking me to do is to commit 3 to 4 months of my time to bring out a new kit of Alvin. It's basically to the point where you guys need to figure out what you want. I can make cylinders for everybody, or I can do builds. I can't do both. Only so much time and energy, and we need to allocate priority to certain things. And in my mind, to be able to supply the hobby with these is more impactful than to be able to supply one person with a build. Or in this particular case, a small handful of people an Alvin kit. Would love to. It's an awesome boat, and it works really, really well under the water, obviously. So, no. The answer is no. I do not have any plans to release an Alvin kit. If anybody has master patterns and they want me to mold and produce it, now we're talking a different story. That's just labor, laying up fiberglass. But to do all of the research, create all of the master patterns, create the molds, and do all the hand layups, probably not going to happen. There you go. That's my story, and I am sticking to it. Let's see here. Do you post to the UK? Yeah, absolutely. I sell everywhere. I don't think I've run into a place that I can't sell yet, although I'm sure there's some sort of like shipping restrictions or embargoes or something going on that I haven't run into yet. But yeah, I've shipped all over the world. I ship to the UK on a regular basis, at least probably once a week. Just bear in mind, obviously, every time you order something from out of the country, as I'm sure you're aware, duties and taxes, right? Yeah, interesting story. I sent for the 48th Nautilus kit, I'm coming out with a photo-etched deck grate and wheelhouse floor for that kit. And my supplier is from overseas in Europe. I sent him a chunk of resin from the molds with the deck detail so he could do the templates and the files. I put a value of $30, $30 US on it. And he ended up getting charged $50 US in taxes. There's just, the world is not the right place when things like that happen. That's just ridiculous. But yeah, bear that in mind. Happy to ship to you. We just need to watch what we declare on that package so that you don't get stung with duties and taxes. Willie, where have you been, sir? Zoom time would be for somebody stuck on an issue, can't seem to get it worked out or figure it out. They would pay you for an hour of your time on Zoom. This already exists, and it's existed for a really, really long time. It's called Dive Tribe. It's $49 a year. So not for an hour, it's $49 a year. And you get not only me, but like a dozen RC sub experts. And we all get together every 2 weeks on Zoom. And we talk about RC subs. Show off our projects, talk about challenges, things going on in the hobby, and all of that kind of stuff. So if that is something that interests you or anybody else, you go on my website, right on the very top, it says Join the Dive Tribe. Click on the link, and you will get all hooked up with the Dive Tribe Elite membership, and you get into the Dive Tribe Elite super secret, ultra awesome webpage where it shows you not only a link to get to the Dive Tribe, but I run specials too. I got like discounts and sneak previews of new products and all that kind of stuff. So check it out. Dive Tribe Elite on my website. Okay. 2.4 gigahertz progress. All right. So there's stuff going on in the hobby. I don't know if you guys are all up to speed on it, but as a whole, the RC submarine hobby is in a tenuous position because in order for a submarine to dive, you need to be able to communicate with it under the water, and the only way to do that is via a low-frequency radio transmission. 1 second. Okay. So traditionally, it hasn't been a problem because all of the surface frequency radios were operating on 75 megahertz here in North America and 40 megahertz over in Europe. The problem is these fancy new gigahertz radios came out, and everybody decided that they were the most awesome thing in the universe, and nobody bought any low frequency radios anymore. So all of the manufacturers were like, well, if nobody's going to buy them, we're not going to make them anymore, and they stopped. So no more manufacturers of 75 megahertz radios. Now, without going into too much details because it's a little bit preliminary, we're trying to come up with a deal with a manufacturer overseas who has said that they would be willing to produce low-frequency radios for us. Fingers are crossed this may work. So what ended up happening, though, because Ed Tortle prompted me to do so, I began researching a little bit more about the actual utilization of a 2.4 gigahertz radio system in RC submarines. Now, up to this point, I had, like many people, poo-pooed the idea because 2.4 gigahertz does not penetrate water. I'll reiterate that for everyone because a lot of people ask me about it. 2.4 gigahertz does not penetrate water. That means that you need to extend the antenna of your receiver and pop it up above the surface and keep it above the surface the entire time that you're operating your boat. So what I actually did, I did the integration of a 2.4 gigahertz control system into 3 different builds, and they're all on my not my website, my YouTube channel, my website YouTube channel. It is the HMS Hunley build, the British T-class, and the British S-class build. All 3 of those builds used 2.4 gigahertz radio systems. And I am going to tell you with all sincerity that I did not experience, as somebody who's been running RC submarines for 20 years, any degradation in the experience of operating that boat. Reason being that the new radios have the ability to program in fail-safe functionality. So if you do dip that antenna under the water, the receiver automatically executes a subroutine. So you pre-program what happens to each individual channel upon loss of signal. From a practical perspective, what ended up happening is I would dip that antenna underneath the surface of the water. The boat would go into a surface mode automatically. It would just pop back up and continue as though nothing happened, because the second it pops up, you regain control. So what ends up happening, the boat dives, loses signal, and then whoop, pops back up again, and just kind of keeps doing that. It makes it really fun to try and just keep that tip of the periscope up. But if you do dip it or lose track of your boat, up it comes fully automatically. So very, very cool. What I have gone ahead and done is I put together a task force to try and take it to the next level. And the idea is that there's going to be a standalone module that rides inside your boat. And the user will be able to predetermine what happens when the boat loses signal. So if it happens unintentionally, the boat surfaces automatically. If it happens intentionally, it'll execute one of 2 potential subroutines, and we're going to figure out what that is. And it could be dive to a depth of 18 inches, proceed for 5 seconds, and then resurface the boat. Or it could be dive the boat to 18 inches, perform a 180-degree turn, proceed for 5 seconds, and then resurface. So lots of cool options and possibilities on there. We're looking at bringing this poor hobby into the current, modern realm with computer control, with compasses, gyros, depth sensors, all of this stuff integrated into the board. So I don't want to whet your appetite too deeply on this because we're at the very, very early stages of it. But just bear in mind that we are working for different options on there. And the big takeaway that I want you to take from this is that even with just existing technology right now, the Radio Link radios that I offer on nautilusdrydocks.com right now that you can buy, which come, by the way, with the extended receiver antennas, and I'll have instructions for those and everything. You could use them right now out of the box and you will have a blast with them. And the good news is, rather than paying $300 for a new/used 75 megahertz radio, you'll pay $125 for a brand new complete set of modern radios. So there you go. That's the update on 2.4. Ed's making fun of me for spinning this. I'll put it away. Is it distracting? All right. Someone wants to know, after David completes the masters for the Sturgeon, how long will it take you to put it into production? Well, not only is Dave doing the masters, but he is doing the production tooling. So what will end up happening is the production tooling will come in-house, and as soon as we get an order, we'll start laying it up. That's it. The only delay would probably be in that we would need to do one prototype build because something that I'm going to be focusing on over the coming months is doing up complete and detailed instructions for as many products that I offer as possible. I'm really trying to appeal more to the beginning level submariners. There's lots of us who built boats before, and we understand, where to put the BLM and how to program the 82 and all of that stuff. But for a lot of people, it's as though we're speaking in, Swahili. So I need to make sure that we have, as much resources, as many resources in place as possible to make it as easy as possible for these new people. So yeah, that would be the only delay. Let's say 30 to 45 days, 30 to 60 days after David gets me the tooling, I'll be able to get a prototype out, build the prototype, and do some instructions. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Is the Dry Docks a licensed dealer of any big modeling company? No, nobody's reached out to me to say, hey, I want to give you money or exclusive distribution or anything like that. We're distributors for a few things, but